Hi, my name is Laura Parks. Welcome to the webinar, Google Chrome, Search No Further for AT or Assistive Technology. My name is Laura Parks, and I am an Assistive Technology Specialist with Tasc, which is Technology Assistance for Special Consumers. We are a nonprofit program of UCP Huntsville, and we provide services throughout the state of Alabama with assistive technology from evaluations to trainings to free informational sessions and a lending library of AT items. We also collaborate with STAR, who's our statewide assistive technology resource, who provides statewide training on assistive technology through Tasc, as well as they operate numerous reutilization programs throughout the state. They host our lending library program, and they have an alternative financing program. So today's webinar is called Google Chrome Search No Further for AT, and we're going to just spend some time exploring Google Chrome. Now, just to clarify, I'm running this webinar today off a Windows 8 laptop. Now, there is something called a Google Chromebook. That's strictly a hardware that Google makes that will run their Google browser and other apps. If you're using a Windows-based computer or a Mac-based computer, you can still have access to the same tools we're going to talk about today, because we're really focusing on the Google Chrome browser and utilities within that browser to help students with learning disabilities or various abilities have access to their curriculum. And I think you'll find after today's training that the Google Chrome really is a great AT tool. So let's dive right in. So I've just opened up a home page for google.com, and maybe you've never noticed, but in the search bar there's a microphone. Well, what does that mean? That means I can actually do a voice search for any topic I want. So let's say we wanted to research Thomas Edison. I just click the microphone. Okay, Google, Thomas Edison. Okay, Google, Thomas Edison. So as you see, by talking, it automatically brings up the topic I was searching for. Well, how is this assistive technology? Well, this is assistive technology because now a student who maybe has a physical impairment and can't type, or maybe they have a spelling or learning disability and they have trouble spelling, they can now speak the commands to find whatever they're asking. What we're finding is even young students learn to ask Google questions like, when was Thomas Edison born? What did Thomas Edison invent? So it's really easy using that speech option to practice and bring up whatever topic you're looking for. So regardless of your spelling or your typing abilities. Now, another thing within Google search, have you ever noticed how bad you can spell and Google still gets it right? So let's take Thomas Edison. Maybe I phonetically spell it Thomas Edison. Well, look at that. I still get Thomas Edison as my first guess because Google is smart enough to fix my spelling just because it's running a huge database. So that's what another advantage of using Google is, even if you misspell it terribly, it's still possibly going to pull up what you intended to search for. So that's really neat. Now I'm going to go ahead and fix it and do another search for Thomas Edison. Of course, we can search the web for Thomas Edison. You're already familiar. We could look at images of Thomas Edison. We could pull up videos from YouTube on Thomas Edison. We could find books on Thomas Edison. We could even go shopping for Thomas Edison. So we could buy a light bulb. Now let me go back to the web for a minute. So before I go back to the web, let's think about our students. Not all of our students learn by reading. Some of them need the visual supports. So maybe by doing an image search, they first become aware of the topic, and that gives them a good foundation for learning. Or maybe they want to watch a video before they read the information. So we want to encourage students to get knowledge by lots of different ways. We don't just learn by reading. But if I was to go back to the web, there's this cool feature that many people don't know about. When I search and do a search, I'm now going to go into the More category. Actually, I'm going to hit Search Tools. So I've done Search Tools, and now I'm going to do All Results. And now you can see it gives me the reading level. So I'm going to search for my reading level. So let's say I have a student that's a struggling reader. Now, unfortunately, Google does not classify what age levels the basic, intermediate, and advanced reading levels are, but this is just a great starting point to help narrow down some of the reading. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just do basic. And now these articles are designed more for basic reading levels for individuals. And it's based on an algorithm they use based on key vocabulary words is how they figure it out. So this is just a great way to narrow it down. So there's assistive technology, that universal design, providing multiple ways for a student to learn on their level what they need. So I think it's really great to do it. Okay, so that's just some basic features within Google Search. Now, one other thing, this is one of my favorite things to do. I'm just going to go ahead and pull up this page on Thomas Edison. Have you ever needed to find information quickly on a page and it's hard to scroll through it for information? So maybe I want to find Thomas Edison and I want to find a keyword on this page. Well, the nice thing about within Google is I can always hit Control F or a find and now find a keyword. So maybe I want to look for the word light bulb. Well, light bulb's not on this page, believe it or not. But now electricity is. So if I was trying to find information about the light bulb on this page, it's not there. But maybe if I go further into the website, and now I bet I can find the word bulb. It appears lots of times, actually 10 times on this page. So that's just another search trick within a website when you're trying to read and trying to get information for. Great thing to teach students when they're reading for information and trying to find answers for specific questions, or if they're working on a research paper and they've identified information that they want to include and they're trying to find it. Now, another nice thing about the Google Chrome browser is it lets you log in. I'm currently logged in with a Gmail account. You do not have to create a Gmail account when you create a Google account. You can actually just use whatever email address you would like. There is a word of caution. Sometimes schools and businesses have corporate Google accounts that do have some lock restrictions. So if you'll find it may already recognize your email extension and have some limitations, and you may have to create a new one instead. But once you log into Google, the nice thing about it is your bookmarks and your preferences that you have within that browser stay wherever you are. So let's say you had bookmarked Star Training. Oops. As one of your favorite websites. Now, if I was to log off this computer and say I went home and used my personal computer, once I log in using my gatorgirl1980@gmail.com, my bookmarks would then appear on my computer. So this is great for a student that maybe starts a research project at school, bookmark some sites to visit, and then they go home or they go to the public library. They now can have access to those bookmarks. So it's a great tool to do. The same thing with the preferences as far as visual preferences in your home page. Those all stay within that Gmail account or whatever you logged into Google. So that's another reason why I like to use Google, because I love having my bookmarks wherever I'm at. Now, Google offers a lot of other tools. I'm going to click right up here to see the other tools available on Google. The standard ones that usually most people will have access to, and we're going to talk a little bit more about apps you can add in a few minutes. But first of all, you have access to these things like your YouTube and your Drive and different things. Hopefully you've used Google Calendar before. I love Google Calendar for lots of different reasons. For students that have executive functioning disorder and tend to forget assignments or need assistance in keeping organized, Google Calendar can be a great thing. As well as somebody, let's say, has had a traumatic brain injury. It's a great way to utilize the calendar. Now, the thing with Google Calendar is you do have to have internet access. So if a student is using Google Calendar at school to record their homework, they go home and they don't have internet, that's going to be a barrier for them. So we want to make sure that they have access to the internet consistently at home or at a public location such as McDonald's or a library that provides free internet. That is something that we want to think about when we use tools. Is this tool just as accessible at school as it is at home? So if Google Calendar would work because the child has access or student has access to the internet at home or on a mobile device or anything, then this is a great option. I love it because when I create an event, so let's look to next week. Maybe let's say Wednesday, I know I have a spelling test. So I'm going to put a spelling test at 9 a.m. So I'm going to type a spelling test. Now, just briefly, I want to show you when I go to Edit Event, there's some neat features you can play around with. First, the event can repeat every week. So maybe the student consistently has a spelling test on every Wednesday, so we can repeat it once a week on every Wednesday, which is pretty handy. Or maybe it's only every other week. You can do that too, so it only repeats every 2 weeks. So it's very simple to create a reoccurring event. You can also put location, so maybe this is a Miss Smith's classroom. If you have a student that is changing classes, this might be a problem. They don't remember whose class the test is in. And then you can change the colors of the event just to make it pop up more. This is key. I love these reminders. Now the reminder can be a pop-up, so if you're using Google, within 30 minutes of the test it would pop up, or it would send you an email in 10 minutes. I'm actually going to add another reminder, an SMS. Now that's a text message, so I'm going to go ahead and add that reminder. So now, 10 minutes before the test, I'll receive a text. Well, that's not very helpful because I actually need to remember when the test is, maybe 2 days before, so I can study. Well, I can change this to days. So maybe I want to send a text 2 days before the test, so I remember to study for that. And then I'll just close it and hit save. And there it is on my calendar that I have a spelling test, and it's going to send me the reminder. Now to set up your text message phone numbers, you would just click over here to your calendar settings, and there's an option for reminders and notifications, and I'm not going to show you because I don't want you to show you my cell phone number. But under reminders and notifications is where you would change your cell phone number to set that SMS reminder up. So it's a great feature. Now what's also nice with the calendar is you can share the calendar. So let's say Mrs. Smith, who has a spelling test, has a calendar of all the spelling tests or spelling homework assignments. She can actually share that with all of her students. She could either share it by knowing each student that needs to have access to it, or making it public and sharing a website link on her website or through an email to all the parents. Which this is a great feature because then parents could just access the Google Calendar instead of just putting spelling test here. Let's change this. Let's go ahead and put the words. So maybe we're studying Thomas Edison. So maybe Thomas, Edison, light bulb, and electricity are our spelling words. Oh, did I mention there's built-in spell checking? I'll fix light bulb. So I'm going to hit save. And now I'm just going to show you what it would look like to share this calendar. So I'm going to click over here. I'm going to share this calendar. Here's where I share it with specific people. So if I knew I wanted to share it with Tasc, I want them just to be able to see the events, but maybe Tasc is also another teacher. They can also make changes and manage sharing, so I have free control. I'm actually going to just let them see all event details. Or I can make this calendar public. And then I save it and learn more. And it's going to tell you how to save it publicly. Yes. Invite. So now I've shared my calendar public and I can share it with people. It's pretty simple and easy to do. So that's just another feature that's built into Google Chrome is your Google Calendar. Oh, and one more thing too that I love. Let's say I had a dental appointment. And I'm going to go ahead and add my dental appointment to next week. That's on Monday. Now this may not be appropriate for students like they're in middle school, but think about those high school students that are just learning to drive. Maybe the parents are giving them a little more responsibility and want them to take the initiative to go to the dentist independently. They can check themselves out of school and go. Well, right here I could put the dentist office, and I could actually write the address of the dentist office, and then it's going to attach a link once I save it to the map of where the dentist office is. So I don't even have to worry about knowing where that is. This is extremely helpful, especially for someone that maybe has a traumatic brain injury, that can't recall details, they have short-term memory loss. How helpful it is for them to have their appointments, one click, and then have access to a map to know where their appointments are. Now another feature of Google that I love is Google Docs, or as it's called now, Google Drive. So when you're using Google Drive, the reason this is a great assistive technology goes back again for students that maybe have organizational issues. They need their documents when they're going from school to home, and maybe they lose that thumb drive. So Google Drive is just a great way to save things to a cloud, and wherever they're at, they can access it as long as they have internet. Now, I want to show you if I started a new document. There are some features that you can change within your Google Docs to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to show you this toolbar in just a second, but let's first look at what's native or what comes with the Google Docs Drive program. So I can go to Tools, and there is spell checking built in, which is great for students. They can do word count and define words, which is great. You can also go into Preferences, and then under Preferences you see automatic substitution. So let's keep going. I have my Thomas Edison, right? So every time I type TE, I want it to replace it with Thomas Edison. So now if I'm typing a report about Thomas Edison, you see it automatically comes in. Super helpful. It reduces keystrokes, and it can also help fix students that have common spelling errors. So let's say a student usually misspells the word there. And so when I go to my spell checking, or if they didn't spell the word important and they forget the A in the middle. So the word's misspelled, but maybe I always spell important incorrectly. Well, I could go up to Tools and Preferences and have it automatically fix it every time I misspell it. So now if I type important incorrectly, it automatically fixes it. So if a student has a pattern of errors, you can have it automatically fix it using automatic substitution. And again, that was found under Tools and Preferences. Now, if you went back to Tools, actually, I'm going to scoot over two tabs over to Add-ons. I've actually added 2 add-ons to this Google Drive, but an add-on just makes your life a little bit easier when you're using this Google Drive. So you can click Get Add-ons, and immediately you'll pop up with lots of different ones. You've got some thesauruses. If you scroll down, you have a bibliography maker, writing aid. There's all kinds of free add-ons that you can add to your Google Drive or Doc to make it a little bit user-friendly. So if you know what the student needs as far as do they need a graphic organizer, do they need a bibliography maker, you can download it and help. Now, this is an amazing assistive technology tool called Read and Write. Read and Write has been in the assistive technology business for many years. They make a wonderful product that has full reading and writing supports. Well, now you can get their product into Google Docs and Drive. Now, I'm showing you the premium version. The premium version, there is a subscription fee, but they are currently, and this is September 2014, they do currently have a free subscription available for teachers. So you as a teacher can use your Gmail account and get a free version of this and not have to pay the subscription. But that would mean your students would be logging on with your Gmail account in order to use this tool. For all the other students, they can use this tool free for about 45 days, just determine if it meets their needs. Well, let me show you why this tool is so great. So I've got text help open. And I'm just going to briefly show you some of the features. It has word prediction. And if you'll notice, it immediately popped up a word without me even asking it to, because it's grammar and spelling based. So grammatically, these are the most popular 10 words that people start a sentence with. So if I wanted to say the, I would just hit the number 1. Or, oops, I'm going to start over again. Or I could click it. So as you can see, I can type. Now another great feature about this too is if you hover the mouse, it will also speak the words. And I'm going to let you hear that briefly. So it's really nice to have the option to have word prediction read aloud, because sometimes you have a hard time reading the words that you're trying to spell. So word prediction is great for struggling spellers, as well as for students that need reduced keystrokes because they're a slow typer or they have a physical impairment. So that's word prediction within the text help toolbar. And again, I went to add-ons, and when you get add-ons, you would just search for text help, and it would pop up. And there's several different ones. It's a great free tool. They also have the ability to have the text read aloud with helping with editing. If you're doing your highlighting, it will actually collect your highlights. So if a student was reading a research paper and they were highlighting places in green and people in purple or pink, at the end they would just click right here and it would show all the green highlights and all the pink highlights grouped together instead of chronologically in order. So it's a great study tool. So I would encourage you to explore that. Text Help has wonderful help videos on YouTube to guide you through that. And it's just very helpful. And like I said, you can get a free subscription for the premium, and as a teacher you can get a free one. So hopefully you'll have a chance to use that and play around with that. So that's just a little bit about Google Docs. As you saw, there were other add-ins, including graphic organizers and some writing aids. This one has the Pro Writing Aid is free, and then you do have to upgrade after so many reports, but it can check things for acronyms and plagiarism. So it's really helpful for those advanced students, because not all students with IEPs or that need assistive technology are struggling students. A lot of them are really gifted students that maybe just need a little support in different areas. Maybe it's the writing, maybe it's the reading. So these are some great free tools that you can get within Google Docs. Are there any questions? I'm just going to pause for a moment. And I'm monitoring the chat during the live webinar, so if there's any questions. So you wanted clarification as far as the trial. At this time, I think I might have said 45 days. It actually is just 30 days. You get a free trial, and that's for the Google account that you log into. And then the teacher account would be the one that you can get a free premium, and it doesn't expire. But if the student was to use that, they would have to be logging into your account, and you don't want to start that. But it is a great tool for you as a teacher to utilize and to learn, to show if you're using an interactive whiteboard. It's a great tool to use. And also, I do believe that their trial, the 30-day trial, is sufficient to really determine if this is the right tool for a student, because not all assistive technology tools are one-size-fits-all. Well, actually, none of them are. So it's really important to understand what is it that your student needs in order to pick the right tool. Because if it's not the right tool, then the student becomes frustrated and it's not helping. All right. I don't see any more questions at this time, so now we're going to go ahead and go into the Google Chrome Web Store. Just like Apple and Androids, Google has their own web store. And within their web store, they have categories and fancy things to look at to get distracted by. But pretty much there's 3 different types of things you can download. You can download apps, extensions, and themes. So we're going to go through each of those categories. So what an app is, it's maybe a program or it may be a direct link to a website. So for example, Khan Academy. That is a wonderful tool for students who need additional help with reading or math or other topics, science. It provides some video modeling. So here's Khan Academy. If you'll notice, mine's already says it's added. That means I've already downloaded it. So I can just click it and it would open. And I'm going to show you. I have all of mine saved in what's called a Chrome app launcher. It's something you can download again from the Chrome store. But here is my Chrome app launcher. It's right here on the bottom of my screen. And now I'm going to go ahead and just launch Khan Academy. And if you'll notice, this is the Khan website. So it's not really an application, it's just a direct link to a website. But that can be helpful for students to quickly get to the site that they need to go to and not worry about it, having to find it or remember a web address. There are other apps. So let's say you have a student that needs some support with studying content. So let's take a look to see if there are any flashcard apps. So here we go. There's 3 shown, and then it shows some extensions, but maybe I'm going to go to more app results. And then I can just scroll down and find the app card that I want. Now, if I was going to look at, I'm going to scroll back up. So all kinds of flashcards. I don't necessarily need Chinese. Let's just take a look at this top one. It gives you an overview, much like any other app store does. Details, reviews, and then related apps as well. So you might find more helpful ones if this isn't the right fit for you. So maybe Study Stack is better. Oh, I like how it has some games and some different way the cards are. So let's say I'm interested in this one. I'll have to admit, I'm addicted to how quickly apps download. Watch, I'm going to go ahead and download Study Stack. I just click Add. Now these are free, there's no fee. Some of them do have a subscription service, much like the text help does, but once you open it, it'll give you that information. So what would I like to learn? Let's do inventors. And here's some various ones that I've already created. As you can see, I can log in to create my own flashcards. And here's some U.S. history flashcards. So there's different ones I can download. So here's 12 engineering flashcards. So technology, it's a practical application. There's the definition. And if I can say yes or incorrect, I can do an autoplay, I can shuffle, I can restart. You know, and some of the features you may want to look for, does it have pictures, does it have audio? This one doesn't seem to have either, but I'm not sure if you can create your own. So it's really important to know what are the features you are when you're looking in the App Store. So that's just one example of an app you could download, and I'll go back to the App Store, and I'll just close our search here. I found a lot of apps for teaching typing, and I know that has always been a concern when I have students that are using the computer. They want to make sure you increase their typing speed. There are all kinds of typing apps that you can download to practice your typing. If you're familiar with graphic organizers or mind mapping, there's lots of things to choose from there as well. So then you can explore lots of different apps. So this is what's neat about the Google Chrome Web Store, and like when you're looking for apps, is you identified, well, what is my student? What's the uniqueness of my student? What are their strengths and weaknesses? What environment are they working in? So if they're using a computer, do they have access to the internet at home or not? And then you think about the tools. Well, what tools does that student need in order to access their curriculum to be successful? Do they need flashcards? Do they need mind mapping? Do they need note-taking? So then you can just go straight into the Chrome Web Store and search for those specific apps and look at the details and say, this one has the features I need or they don't. Because it's free, it's really quick and easy to download them, test it out, and determine yes or no that it'll work for the student. And encourage the students to explore them as well, because you may look like right now you've seen Mind and Mind Master, the first two, so maybe there's not a whole lot of difference, but then really explore it. As you can see, I've downloaded about a dozen of them, but you definitely could download more. There's plenty of them. If you use Evernote, there's apps for that as well. So lots of apps, but remember, these are going to be programs or direct links to websites. Now, another tool that I found helpful in Google Chrome is extensions. So now extensions work within the browser. So let me just show you. I've got several extensions downloaded, and let's look for an extension. So one of the most popular things that individuals with learning disabilities need is text-to-speech. It helps for them to hear websites read aloud. So I'm just going to do text-to-speech. And now if you'll notice on the left side, I did choose only extensions. So these are just going to show me things that will work within the browser. So there's various ones. As you can see, the green one means I've already downloaded it, so that's the one we'll look at. But there's lots to choose from, and once you start playing and looking at the features. Now, when you download an extension, it'll immediately pop in. So let me go ahead and just, I even have the read and write one. I'm going to go ahead and download the free highlighter just so you see where it goes, and I add it. And it takes just a moment, and as you can see, it's added right up here to my toolbar. Now, as I told you, I've already downloaded some extensions. Well, how do you get back to those extensions once you download it? Or how do you hide extensions if you've downloaded numerous ones? Well, it's pretty simple. I just click over here to the right of my screen, those little three bars. This lets me customize and control Google Chrome. And I come down here to Tools, and now I'm going to take a look at my extensions. So here are my different extensions. I have something called AdBlock downloaded. This extension actually takes away some annoying video ads on YouTube and Facebook and banners, so I thought that was the helpful extension. It's rated pretty highly among educators. If you're an Evernote user, which is great for students that need organization support, or if they want to gather information quickly all into one spot, Evernote Web Clipper is a great free extension to add. If you'll notice though, I have these, they're not showing the button. So I'm going to go ahead and start showing the button. I'm going to enable Good Word Guide because this is going to provide me some dictionary support if I don't know a word. I'm also going to go ahead and enable my Speak It. I'm going to show the button. I even have an extension for zooming, so if I want to zoom in quickly, I'll go ahead and enable that one. Did you notice how they all are now appearing on the right over here? Well, the only thing that didn't show was the dictionary. Let's take a look at the dictionary one. So the way that, here's options under dictionary. So what the option is when I see a word that I don't know and I want the definition for, I can double-click the word for the definition, or I can select a word or phrase and then use a trigger key. Now, without a trigger key, it can become kind of frustrating because it's going to immediately define words, so you probably want to put a trigger key, and so I'm just going to use Control. So when I highlight a word and I hit Control, it's going to give me the definition. Let's give it a try. So we're going to first start by doing the dictionary extension, and I have this listed. This is the Good Word Guide Dictionary. So let's go ahead and go back. I'm going to close some of my tabs here, and I'm going to go ahead and go back to Thomas Edison. So maybe I can't read the word inventors. So now I can highlight it, and remember my trigger key was Control, and now there pops up the definition. And what I love about this is it will also read me the word, because a lot of times students just need to hear the single word for them to be able to know, oh, that's the word, I just couldn't read it, but I do know what it is because I've heard it before. So let me let you hear what inventor sounds like.
Inventor.
Unfortunately, this program won't read the definition aloud, just the word. But I'm going to show you another program that would read it aloud if you needed it to read you aloud. So remember, I also turned on, under my extensions, this one. And this is converts text to speech. This particular one is called Speak It. There are several options to choose from. So now, if I wanted to read this, I'm just going to highlight the sentence, and then I'm going to go up and click Speak It.
Edison was a prolific inventor, holding 1,093 U.S. patents in his name, as well as many patents in the United Kingdom, France, and Germany.
Did you notice how the dictionary bubble popped up? So that's a little annoying sometimes. So maybe a student doesn't need the dictionary support. Just go back into your settings, tools, extensions, and now I can it's enabled right now. If I click disabled, that means it's going away. I can quickly re-enable it. I don't have to download it again. And I'm going to go now to take a look at my Speak It options. And let's see what my options are. Here under the Speak It options, I can change it from a female to a different voice. I can speed it up, I can slow it down, and there's an attestant. And I can also use a keyboard shortcut. So instead of having to click up top, I can learn the keyboard shortcut, highlight what I want, and then use the keyboard shortcut. So it's really simple and easy to use. And that's really what I found when I explored the extensions. There's so many to choose from that I really can address my specific needs. And really that's what assistive technology is about, knowing your individual student and knowing, well, what type of tool. And then it's really simple to find the tools, especially with things like Google Chrome Web Store. So there are numerous, sorry about that, options available. As far as extensions. You can even, if you were in the Google Chrome Web Store, I'll go back to the home. I could even type accessibility, and I would get some suggestions as far as some accessibility tools, such as colorblind. Those are my extensions. Maybe I want to look for apps as well. And now maybe I want to look for themes. Now themes are a little different. Themes are going to just change the color of your Google Chrome web page. So I'm going to actually stop my searching and go back to the home page just so you can see the different themes. Many people discover these and use them to make their web page look pretty, their Google web page. So let's just say we're going to do an Earth one. And I'm just going to go ahead and apply the theme of Earth. And now if I open up Google Chrome, there's my Earth web page. It does make it a little bit difficult to see sometimes in high contrast. Now once I typed in whatever I was searching for, the picture goes away. So it just makes it look pretty. Now if we were going to do a high contrast theme, so let's go back to our web store. And I'm looking under themes, and now I'm going to look for high contrast. High contrast is good for individuals that have visual impairments. And I'm only looking for the theme. So here's one, here's another one. There's several to choose from. Let's just try this one. And let's go back here. Again, if I go to my Google, the initial page, so if I open a new tab, there's my high contrast right there. And then I can type in what I'm looking for. So it really doesn't make the whole thing accessible. It really is just that first page and the tabs that change pretty colors. So your theme you may find is not as helpful as assistive technology as you'd want. But there may be an app that you could use that's a high contrast, like an overlay. Or even an extension maybe that changes it. So here if I wanted the overlay films. Now before I download this one, let me give you a warning. I know when I first started playing with themes I got a little panicked because I was like, how do I get rid of them? It's pretty simple. Go back to Customize in Google Chrome here on the right hand side, and now go to Options. Well, first we're going to go to Settings and scroll down. There's my appearance. I get themes. I'm actually now just going to go ahead and reset to the default theme. And now I'm back to my normal theme, so don't panic there. Let's take a look now. I mentioned the color overlay because that's something that a lot of individuals like to use to see if it improves their reading ability. I'm just going to go ahead and add it. Now because this is an extension, it's going to add up there on my toolbar. So let's go ahead and apply the overlay. And I'm going to select my color. All right, and now it should be good to go. And let's see if it made anything overlaid. So now you see it's made it, and then if I go to the website. Now, the reason it didn't on the first website was because when you install an extension, you have to refresh the page. So if I went back to this web browser and if I just refresh the page, the color overlay should apply. There we go. So remember, within this extension, what's nice about this one is it has some features so I can make it brighter or lighter. And now you see it's a little bit different. So it's a great tool. I love how quickly it is to find the tools now. For so many times, a lot of times it's tricky with assistive technology because it's easy to go to the shelf and say, well, I have this software or I have this communication device and say, well, that's what I'm going to use. Well, now we really can focus on the individual student, which is how we should have always done. We should always look at the student and their environment and what are the tasks they're trying to complete, and then we can find the tools. So now if we can identify the student and the environment and the task, we can quickly find tools. And I couldn't believe I found this today, and this is something we'll be talking about in future webinars on picture symbols. There is actually an app for communication, and now if I type in communication, you might get some different ones, but there's something called Picto4Me AAC communication boards. It's a free app from Google Chrome that lets you create picture symbol boards that you can print off or that can be interacted with a touchscreen monitor, a keyboard mouse, a head mouse, or even with switch scanning, which is really cool. But we'll be doing a training on that later when we talk about picture symbol webinar. But I did want to point you out to let you know. So when you're utilizing the Chrome Web Store, just search for the type of tool that you want and you'll be able to find it. If you need help finding a specific tool, perhaps in Google Chrome Web Store, or if you want some opinions, we did provide on the handout, which is attached below this webinar on the website, several different additional websites to help you find more Google Chrome apps and extensions that would be helpful. So hopefully today what you've seen is that Google Chrome can really be a great assistive technology tool, not only because of the great search features, such as changing the reading levels, being able to speak your command, being able to type and not have to worry about spelling and it would fix it. And I'm going to turn off our Ireland here. I'm just going to kind of remove it from Chrome. I can always add it back. I should reset my page. There we go. And so those are some great features within Google Chrome Search. And of course, if you're utilizing Google Drive and Docs, there's great features in there and great add-ons to explore to help it make it more accessible. And you've got Google Calendar, which is a great way to help teach students to be organized. And then when you explore that Google Chrome store, you'll find extensions and apps and themes that really can make the Google Chrome web experience much more accessible for students of all abilities. So I hope you'll continue to use Google Chrome. Feel free to email Tasc at ucphuntsville.org if you need any other suggestions, and I hope you'll go out and Google things.